Hi, I'm Taiho Yamada here at NAMM 2018, representing MOK, my synth company. We do Waverazor. Last year we introduced Waverazor, which has a patent-pending oscillator design that slices up waveforms and recombines them into new harmonically rich sounds. And it allowed you to do some new things like multi-sync, which is multiple simultaneous hard sync points per cycle. Or you could also do mutant AM, which is a form of complex, harmonically sequenced ring mod. Now to make all this stuff happen, it's a really complex synth engine. And we didn't have an editor for it last year, but this year we do. If you fully max out a Waverazor patch, it's over 12,000 parameters. So the challenge was to make an interface that allowed you to do things in a meaningful way. Because if it's 12,000 parameters, who knows where you are, right? So the answer for us was to do a contextual editor. And what I mean by that is, at the top you can navigate to different blocks, like an oscillator block or a filter block. It's laid out like a familiar synthesizer voice path. It shows you whatever you want to look at. Right now it's the filter in the center. This is your focus. But it also shows it to you in context. Like I can see that the oscillator mixer is feeding the filter and the filter is heading out to the voice amp mixer. If I want to hop to an oscillator, I can see that these LFOs are affecting the oscillator. This one is for vibrato, and then the oscillator is going into the oscillator mixer. If I want to focus on the LFO, I could just hop to that there. And I can see that this vibrato LFO is actually modulating all three of the oscillator. The reason why you have 12,000 parameters is because the oscillators are pretty complex. You can have up to 16 slices in an oscillator, and each one of those slices has modulatable parameters like phase or their duty cycle, their pitch, DC offsets, volumes, all that stuff is independently modulatable per segment. You have 3 oscillators times 16 segments, you could get a whole lot of parameters there. You can have up to 128 modulation sources, so if you want 128 LFOs, you can do it.
It costs basically a lot of CPU power.
It does. It starts eating up CPU power. Your mileage may vary depending on your computer. You have that power there. You don't have to use it. Basically, we don't want to talk down to our customers. It's there if you need it. This power. The modulation matrix can have up to 484 routes. And there are even more targets. Like if we look at the filter section, you can load it with a single filter. This is X-pole ladder filter. It's named X-pole because you can have anywhere between 1 and 32 poles. We have a state variable filter as well, plus a bunch of different wave shapers and interesting effects. Like this is a new effect, bit often. It basically allows you to, within the 24-bit signal, instead of just lowering the bit resolution, it can poke holes in the bits. So you can hit bit number 12, and anything that is in that area of amplitude will be affected.
So basically you can design your own bit crusher filter with it.
Yeah. It's pretty weird.
There are also filter presets where you can save your states of the filter.
Not yet, but this is something that we're working on too. Like being able to save the states of, say, like your effect or filter or modulator, or even copy and paste them. those things are things that we've been talking about already.
But where do you put this synthesizer, in which direction? Is West Coast, East Coast, or something zero coast, or?
It's
a mixture.
It's a mixture. It can start on one coast and then travel to the other coast very easily. You know, like the oscillators are really good at creating, you know, thick harmonics and going crazy, you know, pretty quickly. And you know, you want to be able to filter it on the other side of it after you've created those harmonics. So we've created some filter structures like a split that can fit inside the block. So these three blocks, you can run them in series or parallel, or sort of a, you know, a 1:2 split sort of configuration. But inside the block itself, like I do a filter split. So I can load 2 filters in that block. Or we have this other structure where I can do 3 filters in serial or parallel, or 1 split into 2 again inside that one block. Or you could just go crazy and have 8 filters in serial, or, you know, split. There's parallel. There's, you know, sort of a serial into split versus serial again, and have that all 3 times. Like all 3 of those blocks can have 8 filters in it, so for a total of 24 filters.
All these things was not possible before the editor.
They were possible. I was doing it in the development editor, but you know, the development editor that we had was like a spreadsheet. So imagine looking at like a ton of parameters in a spreadsheet and then trying to figure out where things were, and it was really hard. Which is why we came up with this editor idea for, you know, having a contextual editor makes it easier to find the things that you want to find when you want to find it. And I'd never really seen this sort of thing in a synth before. You know, usually they have a bunch of like maybe 3 LFOs, so they're always on the same page. But what do you do if you have anywhere between 1 and 120 LFOs, depending on your patch? So this is our answer to that, and figuring out that challenge of, you know, managing your information.
So do you have here envelopes, LFOs, or something maybe different from the modulations? LFOs, envelopes. Do you have also something different?
We have, like right now, we mostly focus on LFOs and envelopes, but we have like a single stage envelope that's a slope generator, and the portamento generator is in there too. But at a certain point, I do want to add some additional things. Like I really miss the ability to kind of sequence a modulator. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how we'll do that. We've been talking about different ways to implement that. But first things first, we need to concentrate on getting the editor out so that people can finally edit all of the parameters in the synthesizer. Over here in the effects section, we have a similar sort of structure. Like you can get all the filters in here too, plus you know, additional effects, and then you can even do a banked effect like we did in the filters. Like this is 16 effects on the bus.
So it's super modular. It doesn't look like modular, but it's very...
I think of it like a semi-modular sort of system, because you still have this voice structure, but each of these blocks can be very versatile. So, so yeah, hopefully it's pretty easy for people to get around. If you get into a patch and right now, if you want to try and find something, you can mute and unmute the modules when when you're looking at, like, if I hear something, an LFO affecting the oscillator, like I can mute this one or mute this other one to figure out which one is the thing that I'm actually hearing. I can mute the oscillator itself. I can go out to the filter and mute it, which is essentially a bypass of the filter.
Also on the effects, you can also bypass?
Yes, so I can bypass the whole configuration. I think we'll be able to do the individual ones at a certain point. But, you know, we're just trying to get all the parameters out to people, and then we'll make everything like much more streamlined as the year progresses. Because everybody's been waiting patiently. We're really thankful for all our customers. They've been really cool about it. But we're finally going to get it. I think that we'll be releasing in March. And this time I really mean it.
And from the price point, it will change because you started with an introduction?
Yes. So the introductory sale price is still in effect. It's $75 all the way up until we release this editor version. Then it goes up to $150. But anybody that has bought Waverazor already will get the update for free.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.